All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Online Teaching Show. My name's Tim. So glad to have you here. And I'm staying true to my commitment to going live every Monday at, 10 a.m. Eastern time, I guess it is. And really excited to have you here and really excited for the show today. Most of all, I'm really excited to connect with all of you. And I appreciate those few that are watching. And we'll just give folks a couple minutes to get in before I jump into the content. Thank you so much to Cindy for waiting so long. Appreciate you. 11 minutes to go. And Dragonfly, 3 more minutes. Yes, I used to have when I paid for StreamYard, I used to have a nice, the ability to have longer countdown videos and things like that. But if you watched my previous live, I got rid of it because they increased their prices so much. So I'm just using the free version. We like free. Free saves money, and really, it doesn't actually matter all that much. So please say hi in the chat if you are here. Hello, Becky. Thank you so much for waiting. Let me know where you're tuning in from, what country you're tuning in from. I know that we've got people in the community from all over the world thinking about teaching online, currently teaching online, or wanting to build an online teaching business. And if that's what you're here for, you're most definitely in the right place. So welcome, say hello in the chat. Makes it more engaging for me and for you guys as well. So today was a public holiday in Thailand. Actually, tomorrow is Mother's Day. I don't know what today is. I think it was a sort of a default holiday today because of Tuesday being the holiday. So I did some work, got ready for this, and played pickleball. I don't know if any of you are pickleball players, but I've recently discovered it. It's kind of a combination between table tennis and a bit of badminton maybe, but super fun. So that was my activity today. Hi, Judy from Australia. Good to have you. So before we jump in, I wanted to just at the front of the show remind those that are interested in, well, I would say in teaching online independently, that I have a free class. You can go to onlineteacherdo.com. I'll put that ticker at the bottom /webinar. And it's a completely free class, but I share that because if you get into the free class, it's 60 minutes long. You'll get a link to join Launch Academy if that's something that you're interested in, which is the only way to get the discount to my 6-month program. And it's $50 off if you register for the free class. Watch it or don't watch it, but you'll then get some emails about the discount and how to join Launch Academy, which is a 6-month program with monthly group coaching calls and a community, as well as an updated version of my launch course, which used to really just be focused on the Chinese market. But with so many shifts and changes, I wanted to teach people how to build a funnel, how to create a brand that attracts students worldwide. So if you want support in that and you'd like to join us, go to the free class, sign up, and then you'll get the link to join Launch Academy. All right. So Holly, hello, Holly, King's Daughter 2011 from California. Great to see all of you. It must be late in Australia, but quite early in Florida, I guess, and in California. So we've got a good 15 or so people watching. That's excellent. I'm excited to talk about this. I certainly don't profess to know everything about all the shifts and trends, but I do keep a pretty good pulse on especially companies, as well as seeing what teachers are doing with online teaching, which reminds me that if you're ever interested in coming on the channel on a Monday show like this to talk about your online teaching journey, doesn't matter where you're at, even if you're struggling or you have found success or you have gone a certain type of path, we all kind of come in at this at different stages and do different things and find different things. I was actually just emailing with someone today or the other day about how they, just by kind of being in this space and having some students and, communicating with parents and things, they were able to get into sort of a parent co-op which it was great for them because it allowed them to sort of not focus on marketing, and get some students through this parent co-op at a slightly discounted price for their lessons. So that's kind of cool too. So lots of different things can happen. I mean, I could tell you story after story about how, just by being in this space and being out there and teaching students with companies, marketplaces, and then on my own, I've met a lot of people, made a lot of great connections, and have had different opportunities come my way through the channel and through other things as well. Hello to another Cindy. Cindy Bennett, good to see you. You met Kelly Tag in person. Oh, that's great. Yes. So Cindy and Kelly have YouTube channels, and we used to do a lot of lives and things, not so much together, but they certainly have. And that's really cool. How far apart are you guys to be able to meet in person? And was it your first time? I don't think you guys have met before. So that's really cool. Yeah, super cool to be. I don't get a chance to meet very many online teachers living in Thailand. From time to time, I do. If someone from my YouTube channel or from my email list reaches out, I try to make time if it's possible, but I don't meet, to be honest, a lot of online teachers. And, there used to be so many meetups, right, of different companies that would, especially VIP Kid, that would organize meetups, especially around continental US, for teachers to get together. And so really that's what I want to do with this channel and with my launch community is to continue to build on the community, because it is so important if you are wanting to make online teaching something that you want to invest in and do for the long term. So let's jump into the content for today, which I wanted to talk about online changes and shifts that I've seen. And certainly, these are not exhaustive, and these are just sort of my opinion and kind of how I see things have changed, and maybe things that I would do differently. And really what I recommend to online teachers that reach out to me. I still get lots of comments and emails, mostly about, people wanting to get into online teaching. And so I think this can be helpful for folks that are already teaching online, because it might give you some ideas as well. So the first change that I've seen, and I'll call this one new opportunities for teachers, because let's talk about sort of what's happening. And this isn't anything new or something that you probably don't already know, but major ESL companies are certainly hiring less at lower pay. But I will say that demand, even though those things are happening, demand hasn't necessarily gone away. It's just kind of shifted. And, while the companies are paying less, and it's harder to make a decent full-time income from companies, there certainly are lots of opportunities with smaller companies, with other niche markets. You just have to do research. And I always tell people, like, if you're just looking at the sort of big companies that used to hire, maybe still do hire, like VIP Teacher, it's going to be very difficult. It takes time to build up your schedule. But there certainly are some smaller companies, and I've got some of those listed on my website. If you're new to the channel or new to me, you can go to onlineteacherdo.com and click on the Teach button at the top there of that website. And I have sort of like some recommendations for some smaller companies that you can apply to. And also, as I always say, get into Facebook groups and see where others are teaching. And if you're here watching live or watching the replay, let me know right now where you're teaching. If you're working with a company, go ahead and put that down below. Would love to see it. So, but I believe that more students globally are still more than willing to pay for specialized skills. And I think that this is where new opportunities come into play. I think, if you're willing to get into learning about IELTS, TOEIC, TOEFL, business English, pronunciation coaching, it's really all about figuring out where you're skilled and, the skills that you can sort of hone in on in order to be able to turn that into a profitable online teaching niche. And, you've heard me and many others talk about finding your niche if you're wanting to build this into something full time. I think now more than ever, because there are so many fewer teachers teaching online, because with those big companies that hired thousands of teachers, there are less teachers teaching online, and standing out from even the crowd of a smaller group of teachers is important. And I think that parents, professionals are turning to private teachers for tailored and more flexible lessons. So what does it mean for teachers? You don't have to always fight for company slots, right? When you teach independently, you can set your own rates. You can control your schedule, of course. We teach all of that in Launch Academy. And I believe that the most in-demand teachers are those who niche down. I see that in my program with those that are currently teaching independently. The more niche down they are and the more focused they are on what they're able to offer, the more successful they are. So new opportunities for teaching, and that opportunity is to take your skills and to turn that into a teaching business where you can attract your own students, build your own schedule, and set your own rates. Now, you're probably thinking, and this is what so many people say, is, well, I don't want to get into social media, right? Like, social media is so overwhelming. I agree. And it's so difficult these days with so much AI created content and so much that is on our screen all the time. It is really hard to develop consistency, right, around social media. YouTube is flooded with videos. Instagram is flooded with short form content, and we're always scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. That's not to say that teachers aren't successful on social media. And it's not to say that I don't recommend that. But that's not the only thing that you need to worry about. It's not the only thing that you should focus on. I think that there's other alternative ways to attract students. Of course, I built my business on referrals and being strategic about that, creating group classes, and really just because I focus on the Chinese market, building up as many contacts as I could through WeChat, which is, the tool that most of us use for communicating with the Chinese market, in order to be able to advertise classes and attract new students and things like that. Cindy, I doubt I would have done VIP Kid the way it is now, but for me, I did it this summer as a part-time job for the fun of it and a few extra dollars. Great. Yeah, I know a lot of teachers did that as well, Cindy. Looking to increase my math, tutoring private students on my own only in between busy life schedules. I hear it. Don't discount your own town or city or state. Yeah. I mean, I hear the I'm busy part a lot. And it's, if you're in that situation as well, you're busy with life, I totally get it. Don't let that get you down. I would say when we really want to make something happen, you will make it happen, right? Like, it's sort of one of those, for me, it was losing students recently. I talked about that last week. And in losing students, I was forced to do what I just didn't want to do anymore, which is like go out there and try to keep, pushing the referral machine. But as I took the stress off of it, I guess, from myself, and said, I'm not going to allow this to be a desperate type of situation. It took a lot of that pressure off, and I was able to just like focus, and things happened organically, and I got a handful of new students, as I shared the last couple of months. So yeah, and don't discount your own town, city, or state. I mean, think local. Like, if you're, think of where you are and how you could advertise locally, how you could advertise with local businesses, how you could, use Facebook, use your own network, especially to attract new students. No one's going to talk more about your business than you are. And it's important to do that as much as you can, especially if you want to make this work. Okay. The second change is, I called this platforms that are growing and declining, kind of linked to the first one. But here's what I tell new online teachers now. I know that companies are still a very popular way to get into online teaching. But what I believe that is a better way to get started is to get started with marketplaces right away. So what I mean by that, if you're not familiar with marketplaces like Preply, italki, and a new one that I heard, well, I'd heard about it before, but a teacher told me about one called Wisant, where some teachers are charging hundreds of dollars an hour, because these platforms have a very easy entry point. Because they take a cut, you're able to list your own prices and do a little bit more of the marketing without using social media to start building your business. And it doesn't mean that you need to stay on these marketplaces longer, but I often tell new teachers now, look at those marketplaces as a place to start. Because if you're only thinking about working with companies, right, you're looking at companies like Cambly. If you're North American, you might be looking at VIP Teacher, or what are some others? NovaKid, or Lingo Ace, Lingo Star. And what you're going to find is a very saturated teacher base, very low pay, and really just fighting for bookings, and often having a very, very slow start. That's not to say that you won't have a slow start with marketplaces, but when you get on there with marketplaces, do research, see what other teachers are charging, what they're niching down into, and how you could do it different. It's not about copying, but about doing it a bit different and standing out. Because if you can stand out on those marketplaces, you can make a pretty good rate. You really, really can. And you can start to really hone in on your skills of teaching in that niche before going out there on your own and saying, look, I've got, a couple years of teaching TOEFL prep, or test taking, or pronunciation, or business English, or whatever it is. And I think that those are sometimes markets that we don't think about. So while I don't say don't think about companies, I still promote companies, and I think that for some that they can be a nice way of getting started. I think that I tell people now, look at those marketplaces and see how you can set yourself apart. It's a little bit less of a cookie cutter machine like Cambly, for example, where everyone makes the same miserable rate, and you're paid pennies for your time. At least with these marketplaces, you can make a little bit more and set your rates higher. Yes, they do take a cut. Some of the cuts are very high, but you can also charge a lot more, and they don't dictate how much you charge. So it's kind of a more of a freelance marketplace for someone getting started. Okay, what's the best way to get students on Preply? So what I tell people to do is look. I mean, it's a marketplace, right? So students are going there. You're not attracting them. Students are going there and they're searching. So look at the top teachers. Look at what top teachers are doing. If you already have a niche, search those keywords on their marketplaces as a student, as a user, and see what their bios look like. See what they're charging. See when they're teaching, right? This is like just very focused market research on what is already out there. And then look at how you can position yourself. Sign up as a teacher and do things a little bit better or a little bit differently than other people. All right. Absolutely. With change number 2, that platforms are growing and declining. Many of the big companies, the China-focused platforms, obviously due to the regulations years ago, are declining. So relying on a company is just risky. It really, really is. Diversify or build your own student pipeline. And what I mean by pipeline is like a funnel. And if you're wanting to go independent, we teach all of that inside of Launch Academy to help you to build your email list, to build your offering, and to market yourself. So yeah, anyone else? Where are you teaching, and what platforms are you teaching on, or are you teaching independently? How's it going? Do you have any questions? I'll certainly get to questions if there are any towards the end. I wanted to talk about the sort of obvious change with online teaching, and that is AI. So, if you're not using AI already, you really should be. And what do I mean by using AI? If you've never used AI before, you can start. I mean, there's so many tools out there, right? There's the AI universe is huge, whether you're in video production, social media, you are whatever. I mean, AI is now integrated into all of your different softwares that you use. Like even for StreamYard, there's ways of using AI in Canva to create things. There's ways of using AI, but at its simplest form, just go to ChatGPT. Right, it's getting smarter and smarter. You can pay for it, which increases memory and gets more focused results for you. You can also create custom GPTs, which is something that I do so that it really knows about my brand and how to create messaging that's not so generic as the free version of ChatGPT. But, lesson planning, for example. In fact, I use ChatGPT solely with one of my students entirely. I don't use a curriculum with her. I don't use online resources. We do in-depth discussion about certain topics, and I've never found anything better online than using AI, using ChatGPT to create really focused, unique discussions that I couldn't get from anywhere else. And so I do that, with one particular student. I use pre-made lesson material, like I use Crystal Clear ESL, and I use NGU, and I use Oxford Discover as well, some of the books. But for this one particular student, that really works the best. So just jump, if you've never jumped in before, I encourage you to, and just ask it to create what you're wanting to create, whether it's lesson material or whether it's, it can create images. You do have to pay as things get more advanced, but it really can create things faster for you. And if you're teaching independently, it can create social media posts. So you can give it a prompt and it'll create the caption for your social media. And of course, the biggest shift with AI is that students are now using AI for self-study. I mean, maybe you've seen it already, but you can already hire a tutor. You can hire a teacher that is completely AI driven, that you're not paying a lot of money for. It is, you can even hire AI to have a relationship with. I mean, I've seen crazy stories of people hiring counselors through AI and partners as well. It is quite wild what is out there, but to keep it focused on online teaching, students are certainly hiring more AI generated tutors and teachers. And I get people asking me all the time, does this mean it's going to replace the human teacher? And I really don't think so. I think actually with the rise of AI, there's still a rise of need or demand or want of a human connection, especially with, everything being so AI driven now, and being so difficult to figure out what is real and what isn't, that I think that, AI will never be able to replace the personal connection of a teacher. So who knows down the road? It's crazy how fast it's developing, but I think that there's always going to be a demand for online teachers. So embrace AI, to save time and energy on your marketing, or on even feedback, or on delivering your lessons. There's a lot of creative ways, and I'd like to dive into that more with you guys to show you how I use AI in my business and how I use it with my students, if that interests you. But of course, you're still adding the human, I guess, adaptation to it, so that it's, we can all often tell what is AI created and what isn't these days. But it's not about just relying on it solely, but using it and adding that human connection. Lots of what we've got here. Thank you, Kim. Launch Academy is fantastic. I took the leap to independent teaching, took the fear. Yeah, there's still always going to be fear for sure. But that's the thing. I mean, anything that you start or that's new is always going to be scary, right? And with fear comes paralysis sometimes. I've talked about that before. But that's great. Great. You got 4 private students. Keep going. Lots of naughty kids. Seriously, many need a real teacher to prompt and engage them. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. How would you form in a description how to use AI? how would you form in a description how to use AI? I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can use AI. I'm not sure if the question's being asked or I'm not understanding it correctly, but basically, Dragonfly, you're using AI to be more efficient, right? So I think of it as it's not a replacement, but it's using AI so that I can be more efficient in things. Like I don't have to go out there and create things the way I used to, or let's use the example of a lesson plan. Like I used to have to kind of be a lot more on my own with creating it, but now you can put a prompt into AI. You know, you can put the vocabulary words in and say, look, I want to create a grade 2 level text, no more than 250 words, using these 5 vocabulary words. Follow up that text with 5 discussion questions that are not yes and no answers, but rather require the student to come up with their own ideas. That's just an example. And then it's going to give you that, right? So it's about being more efficient. Kim says I use AI all the time now for feedback. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really, really great. I don't, with companies, obviously we had to do feedback, but I don't do feedback so much with students now. It's just not part of what I offer, but you know, a lot of teachers do. And I think that's great. All right, great. So, yeah. Okay. So to sort of summarize, global demand for online teaching, I believe it's always going to be here. I think, you know, there's always going to be people looking to immigrate to a new country, study abroad, pass a certain exam, advance in their career, you know, want to improve their business English. Oh, I forgot to say, as an emerging platform, what was I going to say? Oh, LinkedIn. Yeah. So I really believe that if you're wanting to teach adults, LinkedIn is the number one place I recommend going to, because although it is kind of a social media, it's also kind of not, and it's a little bit more specific in how it lets you direct your messaging to certain people. So it's not like going on Instagram and creating a reel and, you know, kind of hoping that it's going to be seen by your ideal student. When teaching adults, you can be very, very specific on searching for connections and connections of people in your niche by telling, you know, the search engine, you know, give me folks that are in Spain that, you know, have a university education, that are working for an international company. And then you can start to, you know, work LinkedIn to reach out to those people and see if they're interested in business English or whatever it is that you might be offering. So anyway, just wanted to say that about LinkedIn. And, you know, with the global market rising, I think that there's just less teachers that want to use social media, right? So if you're kind of thinking about it, like jump in. You know, it's a long game for sure, but a lot of people are not really willing to put in the time that social media takes. And I totally get it. I'm not faulting anyone for, you know, feeling really defeated with social media. I 100% understand. And maybe it's not for everyone, right? It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of learning, and it takes a lot of patience as well. It really, really does. And so I understand those that struggle with social media. But, you know, on the flip side of that, I think that if you're really targeted and specific, and you know who you're speaking to, that there is space for you in there, absolutely, and you can attract students through social media. You know, without using you know, ads and things like that. I think that for some I wouldn't recommend ads in the beginning. If you've got, I would wait until you get a student base so that you have a little bit of money that you could throw to ads. But I would work on getting your first few students, maybe 3 to 5 students, before you looked at ads. So, and what I always say is, you know, start small. Of course, keep your goals big, but start small and keep working at it for sure. if you've been waiting for that sort of perfect time, I don't believe that there is a perfect time. I think that you'll sit on that for a while, and tomorrow will always be the answer. But I think it's a good time to give independent teaching specifically a shot. And I would never suggest, quitting your job or putting all your eggs into one basket. I would have, maybe you've got a company or a platform on the side. You're making enough from that so that you can, work on sort of a side hustle of getting your own students at the same time, simultaneously. Okay, great. So those were the changes that I wanted to share with all of you. If you weren't here at the beginning, you can go to, I've got the ticker at the bottom, my free, it says there, free course. It is not a free course. It is a free class. And you can go to onlineteacherdude.com/webinar. And you will also, at the end of that free 60-minute webinar, get a discount code to join Launch Academy if that's something that you're interested in. If you're brand new, you want to look at companies and platforms, and you're like, I want to start online teaching, you can go to onlineteacherdude.com/free course. That is a free course that I've had for several years, which will kind of teach you how to teach online. And companies that I recommend are on my website. So thanks so much, everyone. You can hit the like button, help this video get out to more folks. And I'm staying true to my commitment. I'm doing Monday lives. I've got some pretty cool ideas and a couple people that I might have on over the next couple of weeks. And again, if that's you, if you're interested in sharing your journey, big or small, maybe you don't think it's significant, but I think people get real value from hearing about other online teacher stories, and certainly inspiring. And I've got a whole catalog of tons of great teachers. If you've got some time and you want to watch some of those videos, some of them are really inspirational about teachers that are doing different cool things. So let's see if there's any other comments or questions. We'll take those. Otherwise, I will hop on out of here. I try to keep these to 30 minutes. And wish you a great week. And if you're watching the replay, let me know. Ask any questions now or later in the chat, and I'll be sure to get back to you. All my contact information is in the description of this video. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for the faithful ones that were here early. And it's always good to chat with you. And I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.